All right, it's 7:30. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Administrative and Budget Committee of Barron County will have a meeting Tuesday, July the 19th, 2022, beginning at 7:30 in the Barron County Courthouse Center Physical Courtroom, 117 North Public Square, Suite 3A, Glasgow, Kentucky, to consider the following agenda. Call order again the meeting. Number two, we've got some three proposals or bids for the courthouse janitorial service. So I'm going to let Mark open these up, and I will write the numbers down. And that first one would be from, we don't even say on that one. Okay. Again, three per bids for the courthouse janitorial services. It's kind of open for bid now. You want to go ahead?
Okay. The first one is from Classic Clean.
Classic
Clean. The here real quick.
I guess they're from Barron.
Just says Classic Clean Company LLC. They give a total bid of $8,600 per month. And then they've broken down on that $8,600 bid that it includes pressure washing, entryways, sidewalks, and they supply 2 technicians. Now it's got some other things listed here. Carpet cleaning, 35 cents per square foot.
That's only done. You add request of the courthouse.
Okay, so it's a one-time year.
Yeah, it does. The contract now.
Okay, the window cleaning is $1,300 plus actual cost of lift rental if needed.
At request.
Okay,
So that'll be.
That's a semi-annually, once, it's under the contract, it's at request of the courthouse, and then they give them a pricing.
right. Cleaning the blinds are $9 per blind. Strip and wax floors, is that a one-time? All right. And then buffing floors, $40 per hour. So all these that are listed individually are at request.
Let's leave that open, all right, so we can kind of see. Whenever you do the next one here, we can kind of.
Okay, let's see. Second one is from Perkins Foyer Cleaning Service. They're here, located here in Glasgow. They are giving a bid of $57,500. So they're giving a total yearly bid. And our other bid was per month.
So
$57,500. And there wasn't any of the other. Well,
they got them.
on the back, it's got the yearly services as requested. Minutes. All right.
So we need, you got your calculators.
We need the 8,600 times
12. Billy.
Let's do.
Well, we gotta get
let's
it
do
correct here.
A little less than $4,800.
All right. So this was 103.2 for the year.
Okay, so that's the best way to do it.
103.2 per year.
103.
On the classic clean, 57,500 for.
Okay, now the one, this is our current cleaning service.
This one is from New Covenant Cleaners. And they're giving a bid of $44,825 per month. 48.25.
5 times
57,900. 57,900.
That's on that 48 a month.
48.25 per month. That's what the bid says.
and that's New Covenant.
Let me do the math again.
What'd you say,
48.25 times 12 is 57,900. For state. They give, I guess this is what you sent to them, Dennis.
Well, they already had it, I
They
guess.
already had it. I mean, all the bid specs and everything.
They got a new one that's like.
Okay, all right.
It's a duplicate of the one before.
All right, so we have, Perkins Foyer service at 57.5. New Covenant Cleaners at 57.9. And Classic Clean
All right, so they're,
at $103,200.
so we're looking at, where are these?
Yeah, we're looking,
Where are they from? Perkins is
Perkins is very glass, right?
and, this new,
New Covenant,
where are they?
they locate here in Glasgow. Dennis.
I
don't know.
I don't know what Tony, he live in Allen County or Barron County?
Yeah.
We don't know anything about none of these other two.
Yeah.
I don't.
Dennis, do you know anything?
Dennis, I guess we're gonna have to turn it over to you on just,
Perkins, she has factories, residential that I know of, that have been told. The Classic Clean, he has the courthouse in Monroe County. And I reckon a lot of homes do up here in Barron County. Don't know any really more than that, and that's all. He said, she said, but I know he has Monroe County, he said that himself.
So have we been satisfied with our current cleaners?
I went Christie.
well, you all were here at our, one of the meetings and in all honesty, you all really didn't say a lot for us to really know. I know we don't like to be the bad guys and I don't either, but sometimes we may have to be, or at least give it, because we have no idea what.
Miss Perkins is, I think, the daughter of Sammy Perkins.
That's what I understand.
Y'all may know him. I mean,
Like, she said there's gonna be 2 people there all the time.
right. New Covenant, he tries to just use one person. She can't do it. My staff is not satisfied with the cleaning. Because like our vaults hardly ever get touched. I know it's just records in there, but still, we have to take attorneys in there for probate matters and different things like that, and, you know, it's just.
Well, I mean, that helps us to know if your staff is not happy because we don't know.
Yeah, my staff is not happy. The judge's staff does not have as much interaction with the cleaners, or cleaner. You know, Lisa would do anything in the world you ask her to do. But yet, like cleaning supplies, I know he goes to the Dollar Tree and gets his cleaning supply. Which is fine, I do that occasionally too. But, you know, you just think that someone that's doing a commercial building would use a commercial grade type cleaning products. We've had some issues with his Tony's family being in some trouble and him kind of taking advantage of being there. By trying to talk to the judges about matters, ex parte communication, and they tell me we can't talk to you about it. They just kind of, and then they, but, I would hate it for Lisa. I would hope that she could possibly keep a job with some guidance. She could do the work. But Tony just leaves her there to do and then comes in and degrades her because she hasn't done things. So, but he hasn't given her been there with her side by side to do the work.
Are you familiar with the Perkins?
I'm not.
Okay.
No. Only time I met her was during the tour, and some of my staff here, said she's a fine individual. I don't think, personally, don't think it could be any worse. I mean, the building just does not smell clean when you walk into it.
Billy, you have any comments?
No, they're not doing a job. We need to get somebody else.
Mark?
It's not that much difference anymore.
Well, I mean, it's real close. We just, we've got enough, you all were here and you didn't say that last time, was to kind of know your feelings, and I understand too, but we have to know so we can make the right decision.
That they just use one person, the building doesn't smell clean.
Okay.
Well, your biggest issue right there is one person can't clean that building. That's
No.
all.
Okay.
And I talked to Tony about having one lady in there that he did not have a background check done on. And she was in the building,
They're the only ones that miss.
and I addressed it with him, and then he went and told her that I had addressed it with him. And so then that caused some friction, but it was her boyfriend that has the court issues, and I said, I just don't want her in here because of the court files, and she knows where his files are.
Okay.
And if something came up missing, I can't replace that.
Well, to be clear, as far as the number of technicians, Classic Clean, that was the higher bid, the 103.2. They did list 2 technicians on theirs, but on the Perkins Foyer and the New Covenant, they didn't list the number of technicians.
What I understood her saying is be mostly her and another tech, very clean,
On the Perkins,
we have to verify it, yeah.
was that in the bid specs that there be 2 technicians? Oh,
Is there anything that would keep this committee from interviewing?
He said that there are enough people to get the job done.
We certainly could, and it would be, you all would be invited if that's what you thought we needed to do. It's real close. But Mark, what's your feelings on this?
well, it seems to me the key factor in this is the number of people they're going to be providing to clean the building. And what I'm hearing from Chrissy Cole is that 2, and also Dennis, 2 is what's needed, not 1. So I think it's very important to know if she's going to provide 2 people on. I think that's the key. Right, Dennis?
Yeah, we can probably find out.
Or we're either looking at that or we go back with the spec and spec it for, we're gonna rebid and you're gonna have to have 2 people there and make it fair.
Contract says we got a person enough people.
Right, but if we want to change that contract, we could change that, I'm assuming.
The company prior to New Covenant, they always had 2 there. I think the best bet for the courthouse, Christie, would be 2 people staggered times.
I agree.
One later than the other. Right now, one comes in 4 or 5 in the morning, try to get in front of everybody coming in. But then after,
10:30, 11,
no, what time she leave?
11:30.
No, she leaves later than that. think it's 1 or 1:30 when I actually seen her leave. You know, anyway, from that time on, if anything happened, you know, it's, one of us come in and have to do it.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Yes,
How many's over there cleaning now?
One.
One. I've got the current contract for what we're under. We're paying the 57.9, which is 48.25 per month. That's 5 days per week, 2 8-hour shifts per day with 2 employees and 1 manager on staff, 5 days per week. That's what currently we're paying for.
That's the bids.
Well, that's what we're currently paying for.
But they're not there, are they? One of them-
Yeah, that's-
I think we need to make that clear, if we do hire. They couldn't be here.
You want me to reach out to Perkins, find out?
well, I think we'll bring this, we'll just talk real quick with the whole court and see what they, I mean, if Chrissy and them are wanting to be at a possible meeting, or if we want to relook and set the standards. I know we have standards and we may not, you know, just because it's like, we gotta make sure that,
The only thing is, you'll rebid down because contaminated all the price points. Back in the same scenario, y'all.
well, everybody kind of knew where it was anyway, so.
I mean, personally, I would. If I was sitting in your shoes, I would be, willing to reach out to Ms. Perkins and find out, and then if she said yes, there would be 2 people.
That needs to be in writing, just like it is here. Yeah, did we draft that right there?
Well, that was their proposal. That was their proposal.
That's their proposal.
The new code, that's what we're under on, and that's probably why they're 103.2.
Yeah.
We're dealing with almost
We
double
didn't really
price.
get any detail.
But yet the one item in the contract, I think, or your bid specs say that all employees have to have background checks for a long period of time.
Yeah, it's-
It's not supplied to the county. Name is not, to my understanding.
Y'all not seen the contract? I can get you one real quick. What we gave them bid time.
But as far as the people, it's not detailed in there as to the people, right?
Enough people.
Enough, yeah.
I think I had to go back and look at it myself.
That's too vague.
One cannot do it.
Yes, would you call Ms. Perkins now and ask?
I would have to call probably family or father. I don't have her number. I'm sure he had it.
I didn't know if it was on, maybe on the bid.
It was on her bid.
No. No phone number.
Okay, I think the best thing to do, we're gonna talk with the other court.
Oh, wait a minute, there is a telephone number.
Well, we need to talk with the rest of the court on this, see what they want to do. I'll be glad to have another meeting, administrative meeting. We can sit down and talk with Mrs. Perkins and see for sure if she's willing to go with the guidelines of what we really want, or she may not accept it.
When's the current contract expired?
Pardon me?
When does the current contract?
Everything restarts first of July, am I sure?
Actually, I think it was, that it had already expired from the renewal. We just haven't done any action, so it stays.
You covered it.
Just keeps going.
Until we.
Okay.
we-
So we're not desperate to make a decision since we're in unknown. So I will move on. And we're gonna talk with the rest of the court. So line item 3, discuss coverage insurance, increase in liability insurance. Bill Murray is here. Would you come up and kind of go over the letter that you had emailed? Yes, Please, and speak loudly.
In my line of work, I come across a lot of information, and I'm involved in a lot of cases where we're beginning to see court verdicts with astronomical numbers on cases that may or may not be worthy, but that's what the courts are rendering. And I had the thought that perhaps the court should consider increasing its liability limits on its lines of liability coverage. And I went to CAECO, which is the provider of insurance for the court, and asked them to provide me quotes to give to you all to increase your limits to the next level that they provide. Now, the county currently, and let me step off the podium. The numbers that I speak, are they public information? Am I talking at a school judge, or is
It's subject to open record.
it subject to? All right. The county currently has a $3 million level of liability coverage. The very reason that I brought this up before you all is that we are involved in the city's insurance as well, but that's through the Kentucky League of Cities. And we have just recently been rendered a verdict in the court against the city and the Glasgow Police Department in a number of excess of $5 million. Now, that, of course, Chrissy can correct me, but that, of course, would be subject to appeal and subject to change. But that's what the court rendered as a verdict in a case here in Barron County. And if that case had been before the county, we would have been underinsured for a substantial amount of money, and would we have been able to accommodate that? So the only thought process was to make you guys aware that we are seeing verdicts in excess of the limits of coverage that we have in place. And I wanted you all to have the opportunity to at least investigate and consider higher limits of liability. And in the letter, I gave you a breakdown of the increases by line of coverage. The first line I gave you was to increase the general liability limit. Commercial general liability covers bodily injury and property damage caused by an act of negligence on the part of the county or the county's employees. It doesn't have anything to do with law enforcement, doesn't have anything to do with public officials. It would, a case would be if we were doing some road work out on the county road and the guy operating the backhoe swung the backhoe around and hit somebody's vehicle going down the highway. That would be a commercial general liability, okay? Bodily injury or property damage, okay? The next line I gave you was public officials. That is the coverage provided for you guys. You guys are the public officials that make the decisions that affect the county. If you make a decision that's adverse, we get sued. When I say we, the county gets sued. That is the coverage that protects you guys in that capacity. The next line.
So, under public officials, is that any elected county official?
Well, technically, if you look at the language in the policy, the court itself isn't insured.
Okay.
The court members are insured. The employees of the court are insured, and volunteers of the court are insured under that contract. So the answer to your question is yes. I just elaborated on it just a little bit.
Thank you.
The next line is employment practices liability. Simply designed to protect the employer. The employer is the court against an act of negligence between employees where one employee accuses another employee, can be a court member as well, but it accuses another court member or the court itself for some type of employment practice adverse reaction. It can be sexual harassment, it can be wrongful termination, failure to promote, hostile working environment, all those things that are employment related, you can be sued over. And that's the coverage that protects the court in the event that takes place. Now, I see this every day. When you get into one of these cases, the attorneys that practice this type of law charge anywhere from $400 to $600 an hour because it's a specialty line. So the typical verdict, if it gets to a court verdict in the United States on one of these cases, is $360,000 is the verdict. That's the average verdict in the United States right now for one of these type cases. So that's the coverage that protects for that. The next line is law enforcement liability. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. That case that I referenced earlier against the city was a law enforcement liability case. In our tort system today, and in our society today, I think you all can agree that we're seeing a lot more activity in the arena of law enforcement liability than we used to. And once it gets in front of a jury of 12 of our peers, the outcome is simply unknown. I think the reasonableness and using common sense has gone out the window. Right now, it's all about the money. That was the biggest issue that I was afraid of for the county, the law enforcement liability. We've not had those kind of issues. We run a top-notch department here. That doesn't stop us from having some incident that we're going to get sued over. Do we have enough liability coverage to protect us at $3 million limit? That's the only issue right there. The next line is automobile liability. That's pretty self-explanatory. We have a fleet of vehicles used by all the departments. If we have an automobile accident today, we get sued, it's $3 million enough. You got to remember, in the tort system, they go, I don't mean to be disrespectful to any lawyer or anybody in the court system, but it's who's got the deepest pocket is where they reach. And if the county would look like a target to go after in a case like that. So my only goal was to just make you aware of circumstances that we deal with in the society we live in, and to allow you all to at least consider increasing your liability limits. And CAECO was more than willing to offer these higher limits, even in the society we live in. The Kentucky League of Cities has just announced that they're going to limit their liability of law enforcement to $5 million. It's that important anymore. It's that much in society today. Now, we can always, as insurance agents, we can go to the markets and buy excess over there, but then we have to layer. But the League of Cities is going to limit their exposure to $5 million. And I anticipate CAECO to do the same thing, to be quite honest. Questions?
Thank you. Okay, did you have any questions?
No,
Okay, thank you for the information. We'll bring this up to the rest of the court members and we'll be looking at it in our next budget on what we're gonna try to do on that. Okay. Sheriff, equipment, you wanted quickly on our committee here to talk with us.
Yeah, I just want to brief you on some things. Mark Bowman challenged me a year and a half ago for future things, bring ideas before the court, excuse me, that we were working on. So basically, that's what this is. I'm not here to ask for approvals or purchases yet. We're researching some things. I talked with Jenny and Judge. One of the things we're looking at here most recently is a crime scene scanner. I don't have the diagrams or anything. I can tell you it's basically a computer module that sits on top of a tripod, and it rotates and scans and makes measurements and photographs of a room or a scene. I'm sure we've all seen things like that. It's much like what the road crews use to measure road grade elevation, stuff like that. But I've talked to Gene a little bit about LGA money. I get that messed up, but there's a possibility we could purchase one of these machines with that money and possibly some alcohol money. I think that the grand total is somewhere like $13,000 for this machine. But there are funds available, Mark, for your following question. And I just wanted to kind of present that to you. The paperwork's coming. I'll present it to you and let you see it. But that's what we're working towards, is one of those machines, and it will really help us a lot in our investigation cases when we present that to the grand jury and present that to the court. If we have homicide scenes or whatever scene it may be, it even works on accident scenes, fatalities and stuff like that. So that's one of the things we're working on. I thought of Trent yesterday when I got this information, because he's asked me repeatedly about electric vehicles. I've got some information on that that's going to be presented here in the upcoming months. And once I get all the specs and stuff that Chevrolet puts back to me, hopefully that's going to be done by the end of the month. I know the Franklin County Sheriff has bought 9 of these. Now let me tell you, it's not a frontline law enforcement vehicle.
Right.
He's using these for support staff, SROs maybe, in my case, paper servers, people that aren't working 125, 135 miles a day, taking calls and back and forth and stuff like that. Maybe have more of a regimented schedule, something like that. So,
Did he volunteer the cost roughly of the per vehicle?
right now it's $33,000 a unit.
Okay.
It's set on a Terrain chassis, Chevrolet Terrain. It has a battery warranty of 8 years. Obviously, you're eliminating some things, which is a lot of fluid maintenance, transmission, things of that nature. So we're still waiting for some finalization on state bids, but it's somewhere that figure. Franklin County Sheriff's using them for SROs only because that's what they do.
Or are they gonna have a charging station in their own facility, or do you know that?
Currently, the manufacturer comes and puts one in the home and also at the office. So if this is purchased, the manufacturer is offering a deal to where they will come to your home, the officer's home, if he agrees to that, and they put a 220 plug charging system in the home.
Okay, great.
Again, fellas, I just kind of tell you the highlights. There's more going on there. So, but that may be a possibility that we look into. And again, that's not frontline responsibilities. Okay, you still can't get away from a gas vehicle in some of our frontline stuff. There's still some things to that. Mark, you got a wrinkled face on you. What do you think?
I was just thinking, when I think of a police car, I think police interceptor. So power wise, I mean, do we know what they generate?
Not another specs yet. This is new, and again,
it's offering, a support role, not a frontline response role where you're running the roads and going to emergencies and things like that. What they're trying to do is cater right out of the gate. And I'm not saying it won't get there, but they're catering to the support staff. And I'll use myself as an example. A lot of times, a lot of my hours are spent in the office with paperwork and figures and research and review and stuff and whatnot. So I don't put a whole lot of miles on the video. So they're talking about maybe sheriffs or assistant deputy chiefs or paper servers that I have, or SROs that go to a school every day and that's their job. And then they go home, for instance. Not necessarily the road guys that's responding to wrecks and crashes and domestics and fights and those things. But even at that description, you talk about support staff up, you may have, in my case, it might be 6 or 7 people. In a larger agency, it might be 20. But if you can work that pricing versus the gasoline truck is running about 46,000 this year for the new bid prices. So you make that comparison with some of the advantages of reduced maintenance costs or eliminated maintenance costs. You don't have any transmissions. You have very few fluids in it, things of that nature. So then departments are starting to look at that as an avenue to assist their services.
Keep up with Franklin County. Let's see what happens. That's the best.
Yeah, I've got to make some phone calls. And
See how they're liking it.
And I'm gonna try to go up next week to the dealership. He's got 6 on the ground and I'm gonna go look and see what the guy is going on. But again, that's not a
Right.
police package. I just wanna let you know that that's what we're working on. So you're gonna hear more about it. Probably gonna hear more about the scanner pretty quick because we've already got a lot of demographics on that. And I'm talking to Gene about LNGA monies, whatever those things are. So,
Thank you.
trying to find you electric dozer, but I haven't.
Thank you.
I did have one, question for you, Sheriff. Going back to the crime scene scanner, how do you do it now without one? Are you doing everything?
Just the camera and the tape measure.
Okay.
Thank you, Sheriff. All right, audit reports, I guess we'll turn that over to Treasurer. You got any,
You can go ahead.
Okay, so in the 2019-2020 audit, at that time is when we were receiving CARES money for COVID. So we got through that audit. And then on the 2021 audit, which is complete now, but not ready to publish. During that audit, when they were auditing the CFO, which is the report that we report federal monies received, is when we received some of course, like the CARES money. When they started out, we had certain criteria that we could get reimbursed for. As we went along, they expanded the criteria to give us more. And that was that initially when we were getting reimbursed, we could get reimbursed for first responders and things like that. And then later they said we could get reimbursed for deputy jailers. So when they did that, they gave us the option to go back and claim hours worked previously. So that's what we did. So that audit was for the previous treasurer, and she did the CFA report. So when they gave us the option to go back and claim the jailer salaries, that threw that CFA report off because the work was actually done in the previous fiscal year. So that would have thrown that audit into a single audit. We did not have a single audit. because we didn't reach the threshold. But when they let us go back and claim the jailer's deputy salaries, it did throw us over. So the state had to come back and do a single audit. Not on any of the financials of the audit, nothing changed on the audit. It was just that one report. So they did do the audit and found, of course, they had to write us up because the report was incorrect, but it was because they changed the rules. And we were informed that we were not the only county. There was a lot of counties that had to go back and get a single audit after that. So I gave you a copy of the single audit that we had. That was the only issue. So the money that single audit was off was not reported in that fiscal year, but was reported in the next fiscal year. So it was reported on the 2021 CFA report. So basically all they had to do was just move that amount to the 2019-2020. There was no money missing. It was just reported on the wrong report. So with that being said, on the 2021 fiscal year audit, that CFA report is going to be off as well, because that's where the money was reported. Just a heads up on that, because when we do review the new audit coming out, that will be another issue. And it's the exact same issue as this, just that the money had to be reported on different reports. Nothing as far as financial numbers, it was just a report.
So, Jenny, was there any other findings or any other concerns that they had? I know
No.
you've addressed the CARES money and the
Well,
CFA. Were there any other,
yes, well,
any other concerns that they had?
the only other thing was the CFDA numbers for the different grants. Again, this was the previous audit, so I had no idea about this stuff at that time. So the CFDA numbers, I don't know if they change or not, but apparently there was some wrong CFDA numbers on the CFA report. And then the name or the description, it's the same grant, it's just that it went by a different name than what was put on the report. So that had nothing to do with any of the finances, it was just the name or the CFDA number, and that got fixed as well.
So all the corrective measures they've asked for, has that been completed?
Yes,
So are we now in compliance?
yes.
I was noticing they had some concerns about some internal controls.
For the single audit,
Well, is a significant deficiency in internal control disclosed? Let's check this.
well, that's what they were talking about.
Okay,
on
so
the-
that relates to this.
Yes, on the numbers and the explanations.
All right, and the material non-compliance disclosed, yes, that's relating to the CFA and the CFDA.
Yes, the whole single audit was the CFA report.
Any
Well,
other-
auditor to make us better, so. We're
Yep.
correcting our actions then.
Oh, another thing, I asked the state auditors about publishing the single audit. I was told that they talked to their legal department, and because nothing changed on the actual audit, no financials changed at all. It was just a report that I did not have to publish it. They would not give me anything in writing for that, but was told if you guys have any questions that you can call Frankfurt to the legal team. They're the ones that inform them of that.
Thank you. Any other questions, Billy? If not, I guess we got another committee meeting coming up, but I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Second by Billy, all in favor, aye. Aye.